So I would like to introduce our next guest, and you've already known through my conversations from the first day about this amazing person. And I told you how I met the bio well, and there was a YouTube video that I was watching of a shaman that was talking about this amazing technology. And ever since, he's been my mentor and my guru and whatever you want to call him. But he's very dear to my heart, and he has done so much research in the field of water and restructuring water that I personally have been in conversations with him on his research for the last 7 years. So I would love to have you guys welcome to the stage Dr. Krishna Madappa, the CEO founder at Jiva Water.
We have a mic. Lovely. So may I detach the mic? Yeah? Lovely. And we have a PowerPoint on. I just take it out, right? There we are. Hari Om. Namaste to all. And greetings to the heart of perfect wisdom that resides in all. Transmissions as such are embodied in each and every one of us, and wisdom teachers have shared that there is a light that shines brighter than all the earth, than all the stars, and all the heavens. And that's the light that shines in the diamond that resides in the lotus of the heart. And that is the source code. That we had two lovely beings sit here to share a code. The source code is what resides in all of us. And what is it governed in? Water. Water. The most divine, celebrated source in every medium that we are still able to tweak to understand. But even to understand is a limitation. We have to immerse ourselves with, and of course, when we immerse, do we drown? No. We are in a field of magnificence. And that field of magnificence resides, again, in the source code of water. So everything, every moment, every breath is water. Look at all the various states of the water. When Nikola Tesla met with Swami Vivekananda in 1896, Tesla asked Vivekananda, tell me about Akash. Akash we refer to as plasma. Plasma prevails. Beverly explores this in totality, and that prevails, and that's the spin in stillness, total stillness. These are the deeper, not insights, but rather the driver that has given birth today to Jiva. Jiva in Sanskrit equates to the energy of life. That's life, isn't it? The continuity of this energy of life that prevails in every breath. We don't even require to pay attention to it because attention is an effort. It has to flow seamlessly. And when we see ourselves, which is what it is we are water. the liquid crystalline nature of the water is the light, and light prevails in all. True, no? I don't hear anything. That is the source, that is the essence, is light. Air, water, light. Constantine has been referencing this for probably millennia. Great wisdom teachers convey the same. And we are all here to collectively infuse that vitality so that it benefits all. True, isn't it? That's what the fluctuations of life take us through these grand journeys as water does. Water flows. There are lovely stories that I've been shared with from a very early age about the journey of a stream. And maybe it's appropriate that I also bring that together. Would you love to hear a story? Yes? So, from the top of a mountain, there's a little bubbling stream that begins to permeate, and it filters through and starts its descent. And as it continues its descent down the mountain, oh, it's flourishing. It has music, symphonies. Plants begin to sprout, rocks speckled across the flow of the water, creating vortices, creating information, signals of information that resonate not only to one part of the senses, but it resonates to your entire being. We are given a whole being that requires to be fully in tune. True, isn't it? So that source code is the journey of this little stream. So as it flows, and there are little insects and beautiful flowers along the way, and people come along, animals come along, they drink the water, they sit, and as the water is flowing, suddenly it disappears. There's a gigantic, let's call it a wormhole. And it goes into that little wormhole, and it's gone. Out there further, it begins its journey again. Life flourishes. Now, the stream has grown in size, it has expanded. And as it continues to flow, way yonder out there is a vast desert, right? A very vast desert. But the stream has no idea. So it continues to flow. And as it's getting right to the base of the mountain, a voice whispers to the stream, "My friend, awaken or you cease to be." The stream pays no heed to the voice. It flows now with passion. Now it's got a little stirred and activated. Right? So in that stirred and activated process, the voice comes and whispers again, "My friend, transform or you will cease to be." Now the stream, it said, "Well, how dare you tell me to transform when I have brought so much beauty to the mountain? Birds have been procreating, they sing, they dance, the leaves, the forest, the flowers, everything flourishes, and you ask me to transform?" And it flows with even more force and verve. And we have spoken about the aspect of when there is force, but it is with effort, it creates more entropy. And entropy creates more and heightened degrees of disorder. Now, is that the way we want to be? No. So the stream flows with all its might, and it's getting right into the desert. And as it's getting right into the desert, it suddenly realizes, what's happened? I'm not the same anymore. And it still flows, and all of a sudden, when the word all of a sudden is too passive, that instantaneous, let's even call that an attosecond, which is what the Nobel in physics was awarded to this year. In that attosecond, the voice of the entire stream says, "But how? There's no response to that. But instantaneously, everything that we have learned in school, water, heat, clouds, and it continues, and we have a lovely book called The Little Cloud, isn't it? You probably know that. Huh? And it forms, clouds begin to accumulate. And as they begin to accumulate, it travels across to another mountain range. And there, the cycles of what we look at and we seek to study, but rather these are fundamental forces of nature. And these fundamental forces of nature is always designed for life to thrive. Is it not? And that's water. So, lovely water begins to infuse and pour down the mountain, and the story goes on. We are all in that grand space, isn't it? And ultimately, our grand voyage on this tiny little planet, and of course, we all understand that from not micro or macrocosmic, but it just is we are that. We are the pulse of this entire ecosystem of life itself. And we are the greatest laboratory that is. So essentially, there's nothing to do. A great wisdom teacher said, do nothing, accomplish everything. How simple. Dear Nima, that's the driver for him. That is the driver. And in the midst of intensity, when we are absolutely still, then there is nothing to do, but it accomplishes. So to Krishna, this has been deeper insights to what has evolved today as Jiva. And Jiva, water, is the waters flowing through Jiva, which is the company that, with a very, very dear friend and partner, we started 3 years ago, where we manufacture our devices. And just a little background, my good friend and partner, dear Srinivasan, was an industrialist and an entrepreneur of his time for well over 35 years. And then and had a staff of about 2,500 when he was bought out by a private equity firm. So Srini and myself go back about 10, 12 years. And during that meeting, while he was the chairman of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, we met. And he asked me, what do you do? I said, I play with water. So how do you play with water? So this is a corporate guy talking to me. I didn't know any of that. I just met him. Yeah, he's a fine being. I think you two guys should get together. So how do you play with water? Oh, let me just tell you a simple little story. Which he said to me. I said, I'll take you. But now you're here in a nice big room, wide space. You can breathe expansively. Now if I take you, and if I measure your energy, well, it'll have very bubbly notes to it, all the way from the chakras, and with all that with the biowell. So you can get minutiae of detail. The deeper we probe, like we go on, like Sherlock Holmes, magical things appear about the nature of the human, beyond the body of matter altogether, because we begin to see that even in light diffractions, there's clarity, and there is also, because the deeper you go and you start expanding, like the Mandelbrot set itself, these fractal images begin to permeate. That gives us deep insights into the depth of analysis that we can glean by still looking at rich numerical information. So, to me, all this is the source code of life. And the deeper we look meaning that we have to look, our entire endocrine system is a seeing body. And we are. Not biologically, yes, 70% plus. But in the source code of it, Bill Tiller wrote in his book, Science and Human Transformation, when we had met in early 2000, He said, Krishna, we are liquid crystal-like receptors of subtle energies that have the capacity to receive information from all dimensions when our two hemispheres are synchronized. Elegant, isn't it? That is exactly where we all are. We are liquid crystal-like receptors. We are liquid crystal receptors, not like, because there is liquid crystalline water, which folks like Emilio del Guidici, May Won Ho made reference to. But the seeds go back to Feynman when he was awarded the Nobel, I think it was 1964, in quantum electrodynamics. So these principles that are the vital connect of life itself. As my mother said, observe water, everything there is to know will come to you. And in one of the Upanishads, there's a beautiful sonnet that goes, Yopam ayatanam veda, ayatanavan bhavati, ya evam veda, yopam ayatanam veda, ayatanavan bhavati. It says, he who knows the essence of water will know the essence of everything. And what are we? Water. So, of course, the journey of water it's not a story, but we are all aware of what is occurring in the field. We don't need to be told anything that we don't already know, because we have a tremendous network of the way communication can be transmitted. Yesterday in the film, did you all get to see the film? Yeah? So a lot of thought. It took us a year to make the film. One of the top directors of South India had come on board with us because he needed to feel it. He needed to feel the water. It wasn't a business transaction that we had, but it was a soul connect, because he said, you are addressing the most sacred subject of the planet. And to him, everything that we are talking about, to us, it's maybe almost close to second nature. But to him, as a director of mainstream films, he took our project on because it not just challenged him, but he felt that this would be a statement of his deeper insight that he would like to continue to grow. So this is what took place. It was a 17-minute. We cut it down we reduced it to 15. But the larger intention of the film was to show it at boardrooms, because my Srinivas was the chairman of the Indo-American Chamber. So to him, it became very clear that this should be a socio-economic endeavor, and a socio-economic endeavor where everyone thrives. That's foundational. Water is the source code of life. We refine the water. That has been Krishna's deep explorations over the last close to 3 decades, with technologies as exploring with Constantine when we met in the 90s, is that we are dealing with the science of Great Spirit, because it has a deep connect with Vedic science, where we do not look at just the surface. We'll go right to the very source of the code itself. There was a chart in early 2000s. Tiller passed that on to me. He summarized his talk with a pyramid. And he said at the base of the pyramid is biology, chemistry, then to physics as you go up, then mathematics, so one simple equation. And then beyond that is the tip. It is full of sparks of light. And he called it God stuff. And he had an arrow going down in this way, down to the base of the pyramid, said, here is where there is a lot of effort. And up this way, here, you are in light. Right? So that one pyramid said everything. And of course, he had it color-coded, like the various zones we have when we do thermal extractions. So here we are, and the source of that is water. I mean, when we reflect upon it, our wombs of our divine mothers, structurally, they were hexagonal structures. They are hexagonal structures. And they form a magnificent ballet when they sing in the sphere of movement. And the sphere of movement is rich with life. We look at a hurricane, but what's at the center of the hurricane? It's even the word still is pale. It's dynamic, because in that space of emptiness, everything resides. Every breath is filled with that emptiness, rich with water, rich with water. At the moment, we should all probably do a lovely inhalation here. So that would be really lovely. Maybe we get together like we spoke yesterday, yeah? That would be lovely for all. Oh. So shall we go on a breath exploration while there is a harmonic wave that will permeate? Yes? Lovely, lovely. Just take a soft breath, give yourself space to sort of really expand, give yourself some space, and like a steam engine, like the valve of a steam engine, just let softly out. And as we softly breathe in, and just look at this cycle of a breath, it comes up, gradually goes down, comes back up, and give it soft waves of space at your comfort level, so that there is no trying to. It's sensing our entire biofield itself. So as you begin to inhale, or whichever state you're in, I'll have a hum. And please join in and bring in waves of golden light into you, so that it fills our entire electron surface. Oh. May I have a glass of Jiva, please? So all of this is an integral, very integral to all life. So it is a fabric that water has that innate, not ability, capability, or limitations. It just is. All of us, we were once a tiny little cell, is it not? Where did that great intelligence of that cell get infused from? What is that magnificent brilliance of a cycle? We refer to that as a supramental nature. And that supramental nature, Aurobindo had it very succinctly conveyed in the 1920s. He said, oh, thank you. He referenced, he said, we are to see the ignorance of mind, ignorance of matter, ignorance of life. Recognize that and bring that supramental distilled nature into each and every one of us, so that we can continue and revive to transform any levels of high entropy that there is, which means degree of chaos in systems. And the chaos in systems to today, we've heard over the yesterday, when I was here all day long, is the depth of, it's not the human condition. The human condition actually is light. That's fundamental. And when that is clear, the whole system is empowered because those cells have an intelligence that is inherent. It's imprinted. But till we have that space of stillness, we're going to go round and round like a gerbil. We've done that, haven't we? We've done that. Enough. Now it is to, beyond reboot, is to inspire, enrich, empower, and engage everyone. Everyone. Not only, I mean, between all of us here, we are communicated not only with the entire planet in a zip, just by that intent that we know is planted inside within each and every one of us, because we are supramental beings. Now, how we refine to that space is we got to empty everything we learned. As long as we don't get attached. But the moment we get attached to any aspect, well, then the entanglement begins. And that's the whole story unto itself. So it is to transform or we cease to be. That is the source code of Jiva. So Srini, we were talking, and I said to him, all right, fine. I'll take you and put you inside a room. 6 feet by 6 feet, 10 feet by 10 feet, and I'll turn off all the lights. And 1 hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later, how are you going to feel? He said, okay, got it. But what happens to all that? How do you know? Well, that's when I took him through the areas of exploration, because as a person who is a researcher, one of the first things is the dedication not to an outcome, but to just be straight. True, isn't it, Beverly? You direct yourself, nothing, you're unhinged, meaning that you are focused just on what is at hand, with no relationship with what the outcome would be. And that is the nature of a conditioned mind, which is important to observe. Even when we are involved in outcomes for the benefit of all, a very dear friend and colleague of mine, with whom we had founded an institute in 2005, Gary Schwartz, he conducted experiments like this, and he found that when a healer is not focused on just exactly what is, it can adversely affect the outcome. And he published that work in a book of his called The Healing Energy Experiments. So, our focus is not to effort to have that space, but it should be seamless. And for that seamless interaction, like Srini putting him into a room, he got to understand what happens to this sacred being, water, and how we have commoditized water. And we all know that too. And how we have also been well informed that we should have between 2 and 4 liters of water a day. What is the most vital of all is that when there is hydration, so that liquid crystalline water structure itself permeates intracellularly, the engine of the mitochondria gets stimulated with the least amount of effort. Why? It's light. At the moment that spark ignition occurs, ATP flourishes, right? Adenosine triphosphate. So that's sunshine. Alexander Gurvich, a wonderful scientist back in the 30s, 40s, spoke about vector communication between cells at a particular range between the UV spectrum and the visible spectrum. Now, vector communication is what occurs. And what do we have? Somewhere 40, 100 trillion of these grand little beings out there that have such symphonic connection. And to revive and vitalize that symphonic connection is light and form, like the hexagonal structure in our mother's wombs that reside. So with all these intentions ultimately coming through the revival and understanding of how science is brought or integrated into for the benefit of life. And for the benefit of life, it is soils to cells. That, to me, is straightforward. We are here. This is like the soil of the earth, our endocrine system. So is the membrane surface of the planet. It's the soil. It's our being. So you revive the soils, you revive the microbiome. You revive the microbiome, you will get life flourishing. That's a massive ecosystem that's out there. And that ecosystem then naturally brings together the carbon-nitrogen cycles. Nothing has to be done. We live in an electromagnetic universe and fundamental forces of intelligence that wonderful physicists who refer to that as a unified field of natural law, John Hagelin being one of them. That unified field is where everything resides. That's that point of absolute total stillness. Then memory of water, the intelligence of water, everything flourishes in each and every one of us. And many of us would probably have had direct knowing and experiences where water has revived from various chronic pathologies. I have rich data in that, going back almost 25, 26 years. But that is another topic altogether. There was a portion of that which I had shared at a cancer conference in 2018 in Hyderabad, which is on YouTube. And I can pass it on to dear Nima, who would then can share it with all of you too. So we made references in there. But water is a source code of life on which everything resides. So soils to cells. And this is exactly what we are observing across farms. Now the farms are pretty much around the world. We launched in India first. And then about a year ago, we went global with our operations. And our entire, from manufacturing to warehousing, everything is done online. It's a B2C connect. And then, of course, as we have an engagement program, because our whole intent is science to society. And we create circular economies. And everyone benefits from water. And 2 to 4 liters of water would be your body, your intelligence will tell you how much to drink. Once you have built it, once we have literally fostered that liquid crystalline nature within all of us. And nothing can dilute it. Once it's there, it's already there. We just have to refine it, no? And that refinement takes us into the various areas of the endocrine system, the lymphatic system, and the list goes on. But those are all details that we, from the perspective of being able to go deeply and hone in, I mean, we had masterful speakers. And not just speakers, but those who work directly with passion. Passion drives everything. Water is passion. So we refine it, and then from there we see soils being completely revived, farmers in one crop cycle, and it continues on, which they have not been able to witness because of the level of fertilizers they have utilized. Well, the same thing applies to us too. From not only the energy of foods, everything that we do is information. Everything, every aspect of it. But it's that quality and refinement of information We can define that from nutrific values, which you can savor the quality of a fruit or a vegetable. That is important, and we have commoditized just about all of life. Even life we have commoditized. Now, we are not here, we understand that. There's a refinement, and the process of refinement is the great distillation. And that great distillation, I think it's celebratory that we have to do that. When you distill, the same thing with essential oils as an example, from 1,000 kgs of jasmine flowers, you extract probably about 1 kg of an absolute. Right? Those kind of concentrations, when we all are that, we can refine it. That aspect of refinement what has gone in to the design, development of Jiva when we first engaged. And to us, it became very clear, like the film with Sharath Sandit, our director, was the designer who designed the products. He is one of the top designers of Southeast Asia, and he designed the Commonwealth torch at the Commonwealth Games. So he was intrigued by the understanding of water. And to him, it became like a chalice. So when you hold the unit that is there, we've named all our devices after the sacred rivers of India and of Bharat, India. He said, this is nature. To me, what I'm seeing is designs of nature to come together. And of course, what is gone through is the understanding of various sectors of the non-linearity of science, because that to me is the driver of life. What we do not see truly exists. And what we see is just one tiny little speck. What is the visible spectrum? Just that, not even that, depending upon which scale you look at. So we are defined by that as a limitation if we accept it, or if we have indoctrinated ourselves to accept it. We are the supramental nature. But when the waters, and this is also the main incidence of the essential quality and the essential nature of importance to our water, because it's primary, absolutely primary. So when we not just sip the water, but when we drink the water, and folks like dear Masaru Emoto-san referred to as when you give intention to the water. But what is that? So that is an honoring to life. We honor our systems. So when we honor our systems, and we've said that, my goodness, it's not magic. There's no word like magic. Intelligence of nature begins to prevail. That's all. And so to me, it became very, very simple. Look into the essence of water, and you will get downloads. So to me, I love downloads, especially when you don't have to do anything. And that itself is like a little kid. You wake up at every moment knowing, my goodness, how little I know about life. Because there is such a vastness, but yet it is an empty space. And when we touch that empty space, like we did when we had, that's a continuous harmonic wave that prevails. And even from again, we spoke about energy centers, energy devices, which all especially our exogenous states, we have to be in clear observation to them. And by being in clear observation, we don't walk in unannounced. We are present. And even if we are not, we are awakened to those such signalings. But we refine ourselves, then all this external noise will have less of a detrimental outcome. And to me, that is essential for the well-being of life. And that is essentially the Jiva journey. So shall we go into the presentation that was passed on by my office to me? So well, you got the underlying story now. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so let's go to the next one, please. So you see, we've already covered all this. Is just clean water enough? Now, again, here we are all brought to a reference of, we've heard terms like pure water, right? Pure water, clean water, and they all have their respective significances. But do we really know water? Water, again, we've already covered that. What is information rich? It is rich with electrons. Rich with electrons is rich with life. And when that is rich with life, and the moment you take that water in, it travels. It travels, and as it travels, you've got these infused particles that get passed on across an ecosystem that is grand, such a grand ecosystem we have. And with the biowell and the earlier generation, as you saw, in 5 minutes, water is absorbed into your system. In 21 minutes, it goes through intracellular, extracellular detoxes and out. These were studies that we had done back in almost 25 years ago with scientists from UCLA. So the detox cycles naturally happen. So what occurs to the cells? I mean, blood studies, we've got all that. I don't think they may have covered that. Otherwise, the story will go on. But most everyone here are familiar with blood studies. And so when we begin to see ghost cells, cells whose outer firmaments are very hazy, pathogens in the blood, fungus in the blood, parasites, and after having had water, all the way we have labs now, both India here, also in the US, that are engaged in sharing Jiva water in their clinics and also doing blood studies and are happy to share it with us because what they are witnessing is never the thought that can water do this? Is water the capacity to completely refine one's system? Well, what is being shown is increase of hemoglobin, the bonding on the structure of the cells. You see them, there's motility in the cells. So there's buoyancy, there's oxygen. So there is a dance that is going on. And when this continues on over a period of time, your whole system will be in that space, naturally. Then there is no formula of 2 to 4 liters. Your natural intelligence will begin to convey that to you. That's a given. So hence, is just clean water enough? Maestro, next one, please. So we also covered this in the story of the stream. So the energy in water, yes, we can expound on that, of the energy of water, because water is the energy of life. It thrives, goes back to the wombs from where we all sprouted from our divine mothers. Yeah? Next one, Maestro. Oh, there's a clicker. Who? This guy, right there. No, I like Maestro doing it. Okay, so where are we? So here we are. So this is succinctly conveyed from earlier. So to me, it is energy of life. That energy of life is, we see normal water. This was done with the earlier set of the large GDV devices that Constantine had brought out to the world in the mid-90s, but very hardy instruments, which are very heavily dedicated into. So we are looking at a droplet of water like you saw yesterday in the film, right? That little droplet of water, and from there we stimulate it with roughly about 10 kilovolts of discharge for a second or 5-second durations at 5 frames per second. So you will end up getting a spread, and all those little dots that you see are little bursts of water. So this gives you the capacity of the retention of information in a body of water. So if I'm drinking a glass of water like this, and if I drink normal water, that is the clean water, and that's the water that we've all been accustomed to drinking, maybe many in humanity, which is why also we observe the failings of the full human being as the pinnacle of not just wellness, but the pinnacle of purposeful living, dynamic, right? That's our nature. You see that in kids till our education system mulls it. So here, then we come, of course, and we pass the water through. So here, there on the station, most of you probably have been already present with, is Jiva Yami, and of the 6 designs that we have. So that water is passed through because this is the water our entire office staff drink. And we see that it is rich with information, and not just tiny bits of information, but it is filled with information. So if that water that was clean is just passed through, which, of course, across India, people drink RO water, and certain name brands of waters that are commercially available. But all we share with them is just pass your waters, whatever you are drinking, through a Jiva device. And it's portable, you carry with it, and go anywhere you want. But you have good water to drink. Just know that. So when you drink that water, you don't need to say a mantra or any of those. Just drink it. Just drink it. Well, you want to go that extra step, of course, to do it. And we see from all our data captured that we have done, like the energy fields. And the most important of all is our observations have been, is life can flourish only when we live from the inside out. A wisdom saying, what is within us is perfection. The outer world can attain perfection only when the inner world inspires, guides, molds, and shapes the outer world. There. So immediately we see that in our energy centers. And who among them gets to celebrate first? The Anahata Chakra. You awaken the heart, you awaken the dormant soul. That was Mahatma Gandhi. So that's exactly what water does. It strengthens your anahata, and then it begins to, just as a wave itself, the natural tendency or the inclination is to phase towards the center. So as it phases towards the center, then we go in and we look at the endocrine system, the lymphatic system, the digestive system, the cardiovascular system, the immune system, all of them from being in the hypo zone, if they are there, or even bounce between hypo and normal, somewhere in the 4 to 6 range. And if that range is a little too spread out, well, that differentiates an anomaly, like shared yesterday. So we see the first inclination, the clearest inclination, is where there is deficiency in the system. Those deficiencies will start towards being normalized. That's all data that is there. Rich data. I love data. And to me, these are all the extractions that really ultimately empower the recipient, empower a community. Maestro, next one, please. Voila. Okay, so there. Isn't that a lovely picture? Really lovely picture. Next one. So this we saw yesterday is the energy field, and these are consistent. These are consistent. Rich with electrons, rich with photons, the whole system begins to re-navigate. Number one, it begins its cycle of what is not required. So we come to very clear principles of coherence and principles of incoherence. We can take that one step further, and we also would reference that as constructive interference waves versus destructive interference waves. So for life to thrive, it is, I'm not sure the word constructive interference, but you know how folks in science like to define things sometimes. So, but it is about coherence. So our systems are designed to be dynamically with the least amount of effort. Next one, please. There. I think we've already covered most of it. So cell hydration is critical, be it for all cellular systems, be it to soil, deep cellular detox. That's what we also have clearly observed, and the data can be clearly and richly analyzed. Enhanced cell-to-cell communication, that is what Gurvich spoke about, the vector communications, increased energy levels, just naturally, because the ATP generation is enhanced. Hence, you see immune system getting boosted. Then reinforced cellular resilience. Well, we build our systems so that the intelligence of the cells convey to one another. We have such a grand ecosystem within us. It's immense intelligence. All that if we just sat and, shall we do that? I know I've got like a few seconds to go. So, next one, Maestro. We'll probably continue that down the road. So, we talked about this too. Do you know the smallest unit of time, as we know now, called the attosecond? So it's wonderful because 10 to the power of minus 18. And then you look at the Planck constant, which is also shifting, 10 to the power of minus 35. So, but scientists have been able to tweak that one little attosecond and cover what we've all done. Because people ask me, you just pass water through this and something happens? A second is a universe of time. My God, it's so dynamic, life. So, next one, Maestro. Then impact stories. Yes, go ahead, continue on. So I think that is a short voice, but I think we've shared all this. And that's one guy. He is the head of Microsoft here in Seattle, and runs the operations of Microsoft out there. And he had come to visit us. So there and these are folks who shared their beautiful insights. And yeah, continue on. There, I think this is a guy in Eastern Europe who you can see his enthusiasm. Continue on, please. So this is, to us, this is very clear, which is what brought Srini and myself together, is water is to touch every being on the planet, soils to cells. Jiva is our endeavor. Jiva is the endeavor of the energy of life, where everybody thrives. And so to make Jiva water the default standard of water around the globe, so an invitation to all of us, because to me, there's a word in Sanskrit called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and that means we are one family. And that's exactly the words of my dear mother to me as a little kid. Said, son, you were born to a Vedic heritage, but know this, everyone on the planet is interconnected with you, and when you grow up, don't think that's happened yet, travel the planet, not as a tourist, but as a traveler. And when you do, immerse yourself into cultures, into music, into people, speak languages, and appreciate all of life, right? So So that to me is an invitation, joining in, becoming a collective torchbearer of this vision, and together we can create a world where everyone has access to water filled with life energy, making it your go-to for healthy and holistic well-being. With that, with dear Nima, who is a partner with us, and I think he has some sharing announcements because we've produced a QR code for, you can just go and place that and you can get into details when you order from our website, jivawater.com. And Shopify is our execution partner, and DHL is the courier. So within 3 to 5 business days, it is delivered to your doorstep. And if you want deeper engagements, please work with Nima, and we can share how we have partners now springing forth across the world, because our mission is very clear, is that may the source code of water touch all, to revive life, to ennoble life to thrive, and may we all live celebratorily that benefits all life. Yes? So with that, shall we have a lovely breath and invocation? Come up here. So this is how we greet one another with our, and then we will do an invocation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Krishna. How beautiful was that? There's times I sit on the phone and I just call him to ask him a quick question. And then I look, it's like 4 hours later, and we're still like talking about completely other beautiful. I mean, he has so much knowledge that, it's hard to contain him to an hour conversation. I'm sorry, I wish I could give you the entire day. But I'm just so happy that I feel so honored that Krishna accepted our invitation and to come here and to share his amazing energy and the work that he has done in the past with us. So thank you so much, Krishna. We really appreciate you. Arigato, whatever you said. Okay, now I think it's a good time to take a break. So let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break. And we have a lot of amazing programs that are going to be coming up today. So come back in about 15 minutes so we can stay on schedule.